Hi guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today's lesson is lesson number 2 in the Practical Law Academy. Now in the first lesson, I told you guys how to think like a lawyer, how to start that particular form in your head itself so that you start making the ecosystem around you build authority. And other chapter of building authority is behavior like a lawyer. Now your behavior in terms of your professional conduct, presence, everything is very crucial. So without wasting much time, let's dig deep into this. You see, the guy next to you would also in your classroom or even in your colleague in the job would know the law definitely, because after all we've done the same studies, we've been around. Even if there is different jurisdiction, the core components of law remains the same. So either it's contract, commercial, litigation, there is just regional differences. Otherwise the sections, the law, the constitution, the preambles, we all know how to navigate all of that. The difference is the conduct. Client, I would say, is very smart because the client will not just talk to one lawyer, and hence I want to tell you that the behavioral pattern of your own self is very important. Now let's break down the behavior pattern. So when the client comes to you, he is not coming to you for knowledge, because remember, even AI now is giving him knowledge. He is coming for something called behavior, and in behavior there are three components which you need to know. One is your professional judgment. It's very important, very crucial. The other is your composure. How calmly, composed, emotionally detached to the situation are you listening to him? And you know, this listening skill itself we'll talk about in another lesson as well. But a part of composure is being able to listen to the other person. And then is your presence. Even if some people, sometimes you will see that they have conversations with you, but at the same time mentally they are not present. Either they are scrolling on the phone, or they are just looking around, or they are not answering in the first go. You can make out that that person's mental presence is not there. But your client who's coming to you, or your discussion, potential collaboration with anybody, will look into these three things, and this also builds authority. So to understand authority building, remember these three things: your conduct, how you behave, even how you dress yourself, because that's very important, and I'll break down all those points for you in the coming pointers. Conduct. What happens with conduct? Conduct will build authority in the room. So maybe your client is coming talking to you about his problem, but the way you conduct yourself, you can automatically gain authority. Maybe by the presence of yourself being calm, composed, maybe just by listening, So it really depends. Then is your emotional intelligence. This is very important, guys, and I think we need a full lesson on this. But we as being lawyers need to be emotionally intelligent. And this does not mean that we be emotionally attached to the problem. We need to be emotionally objective and detached to the problem. We are the solution orienters, and hence we need to think like that. We need to behave like that. So number one point is for you to understand that you need to, in the conversation or while sitting, while advising, you need to control your emotions. Now when I say control your emotions, I mean to say the following things. First is stay measured. Staying measuring means knowing what to speak, when to speak, even if to speak or not to speak. Just stay calculated and measured. People will honestly appreciate you in their mind for that. Even if the other person is expecting some answers, I think clarity will only come if you stay measured, and hence clarity will decrease complexity. And this is what your clients want, right? So they don't want you to use legal jargons and make it very complex for them. Clarity is what they are seeking. Another thing I see lawyers do, and maybe I used to do the same mistake sometimes, in order to impress the client, sometimes you overpromise. So overpromising is not something we need to do. Overpromising is not allowed. Okay, that is very important, and that's how also you manage client expectations. So this is the entire thing in controlling your emotions. Just try in the end to stay objective to the problem. Maybe it's a family dispute, maybe it is something personally you are associated to, maybe in the past you feel that okay, this happened to me as well, because end of the day we are also humans. But staying objective to that situation is what will give us our behavior. It will give client the confidence that yes, we are the right person to deal with this situation. The other thing we need to do during the conversation or during the discussions with the clients potentially is to speak less. And why this is so important? Because yes, we know a lot of law, but definitely the client does not need to know the legal aspects of it. Maybe not in the first meeting, maybe not in any meeting. They just need to know what's relevant. And for that, how will you explain is by being precise. So for us, how much we use in our arguments, in our discussions, in our conversations, generally how much we use precisely. So precisely is something we need to be, personally attached to, because we need to speak less. No over explaining. Basically what happens is that when you talk to the client and you feel like you're obligated to explain everything, you're not. You don't need to over explain. And believe me, this is magical, because when you over explain, client will get confused. So we don't want to confuse them. We want them to understand that we know our work and we know what we do. Hence, no over explaining. This is very important. And then in the same context, I want to explain to you that maybe sometimes what happens, and this is a practical situation that I encountered, is that one of my clients was talking about her father in a particular manner, which I thought, maybe in my mind, because these were my early days in the legal career, and I thought that how can you actually think about your family in that way? So what I did, I became prejudiced. And because of being prejudiced, I started explaining her the contrary things, which I should not have, because she is my client end of the day. I need to do business with her, and hence I need to be objective and not emotionally using such emotional languages. So I would say don't use over emotional languages. And as a result, believe me, I lost the client even though I was speaking her language. So and thing is to not use emotional language. They might hate the other person, but you do not have to hate the other person. That other person in some way or the other could be some other lawyer client, and hence you need to respect the fact that we are like doctors. We don't need to be attached to the surgery. We don't need to be attached to the disease, to the client. We don't need to be. And hence we don't need to be emotionally inclined and use such languages. And hence this is very important. Don't use legal jargons. Legal jargons will ultimately look like a show off, and we don't want to be looking like a show off. We want to look structured, we want to look solution oriented, we want to look simple, and we want to not complicate this matter and simplify things. So simplification is our skill that we need to earn, even though we might know the background, the history, the legal requirements, everything, but our conduct needs to be very simple, and hence no legal jargons. So the third point brings me to another common error we as lawyers tend to do in our meetings, maybe initially or maybe in some consultations. We tend to say, yes, I know everything. Don't bluff, because being a bluff master will actually spoil your credibility. So what you need to do, you don't need to guess. No guesswork is allowed. No guesswork, and hence this will not spoil credibility. Don't spoil your credibility, guys. This is very important, because for credibility the relationship will go to drain. Maybe you conform to because see, the client is a layman and he is believing what you are saying. Maybe he's reading in ChatGPT, maybe he's reading any AI software, he's relying on the Google information, and that Google information becomes contrary to what you're saying. So what you have done is basically spoiled your reputation, spoiled your word, and even give it a very less, I would say less weightage to your own word. So what you need to do is you need to say, let me review and get back to you with this particular case or with this particular point, and let me give you a good position, authentic position, the accurate position. Accuracy is our key, because now even court judgments you can see, that accuracy is very important, because court judgments are coming all over. I saw recently Supreme Court judgment of India which stated that lawyers are heavily relying on case laws which are fabricated by AI. So this is the difference between you and the person who is reading the chat GPT and AI. So this is the difference, because what your research will do, what you will do is create accuracy, and this is the skill we need to bank on, because this will be in future, this is the only thing that's gonna separate us from AI, because otherwise AI will replace us for sure. So what we need to do, we need to be accurate in our word, conduct, behavior, and hence don't bluff. Just say, let me review this and come back. Sometimes in conversations you will feel that even if you're in that professional setting, you will feel that people take time to respond. They think, especially you will see this with the senior people, and we don't have time to waste so much to learn from, to basically grow at that age and then learn the skill. The idea of this Practical Law Academy is also very important, guys, is to learn from other people so that we can grow faster. And hence one skill that I think I learned from my internship days was that thinking before responding. And silence is not bad. When you think before you respond, this actually means that your brain is functioning. Now even you will see that AI software mention that they are thinking. So thinking is something which is good, and it should not be ashamed of. You're not duty bound to know the answers at the same time. Thinking is not equal to being dumb, okay? So think before you answer, and this will help you in terms of thinking is not equal to being dumb, please. This is what I think. There is some notions in some people that when they are trying to take over the conversation, when they are thinking and not responding, they might lose the leverage, but that's not true. Technically, believe me, in practical life, when you think and respond, people think that yes, you are much more credible, much more calculated than them. Now this is a skill that I think I learned from my junior, and it's not bad to actually learn things from your people around you, even whatever positioning they might be in, because if you are teachable and coachable, everybody will teach you something in some form. Even a 2-year-old kid can teach you so many skills. Hence, now this brings me to the 5th point, which is thinking step ahead. And I always used to have this conversation with him, and I'm like, okay, this is the case, this is what's gonna happen. But the question that I always used to like from him is the fact that he used to say that, let me think from the other side and let me get back to you. So I used to feel like, why is he thinking from the other side from the very beginning? But this is very good, because this helped us in a lot of cases, winning a lot of battles, winning a lot of negotiations, arbitrations, is just by thinking step ahead. So what by this is that we as lawyers need to be assumptive. Now we are not assumptive. So what happens with us is we are not speculative, if we are not assumptive, if we don't think of the future, if we don't think how the other party will respond, this will be a defeat in our face. Because if we are prepared for the future, as somebody in your family could be one such person, but if you think about the future even a little bit ahead, you will know the importance for this skill to be in us as lawyers. And this will give you a leverage and a step edge, I would say. You will have an edge over other people when you think calculatively, when you think about the future. And this is when the client will also be like, okay, this is something I did not think about. And hence the client would already, you will have that authority building, which is just by thinking for the future and thinking a step ahead. So this is very important. And lastly, it is very important for us to dress to impress. This is very important. As professionals, this is our first impression, and we need, in the room, we need to build authority. And for authority building, we need to be the looks of ours, not just the way we are in terms of our dressing, but the way we are conducting. We should not be shabby, we should be professional. All of this really matters. And I always think that once the person is dressed in a certain manner, the other people in the room automatically want to have conversation with you. And this is just by experience. I have felt this in the networking world. Now, if you want, I can also come in sweatpants, sweatshirts, and teach. But why I'm in my professional clothes on a weekend is because I want you to get this thing from not just the way I speak, but also the way I conduct myself. And this will automatically tell you that I have an edge in terms of explaining things to you. So this builds credibility by its own self. And this is something that we should not, overlook even in today's time. Lastly, I would like to conclude the lesson by saying, let's learn to be respected not just for knowing the law, but also the way we practically handle the situation, the way we build our position, the way we help clients simplify things, the way we understand the law is also what we need to transmit to them. And we need to tell them that we are there to take care of them. Sometimes they will be right, sometimes they could be wrong. Practically, we don't need to judge them. We are not the judge. We need to tell them that we can create a position in such a manner that we can take care of this situation. And hence, this will only be transferred to the client, to the people around you when you start behaving like one.